What?
Very good.
Broken cussing, I can't find a drink this late. I'm wrestling with the thought of leaving town. Maybe I've been waiting too long, 'cause there ain't a single song I'd like to hear but that old one.
No, lower.
What's that? Lower?
But the bands don't do it River Valley.
Chris Fullerton.
There ain't a cowboy here that's true. We can make Cass County by the morning light. If I could just find the strength to move.
Welcome to Home Street Home. I'm Mark.
It's Bryan.
And Brian. Who was that?
That's Chris Fullerton. He was playing at Club Bohemia on Saturday.
Nice.
Stash was in the audience.
I was there.
It's a good show. It was the first time I got to see Chris. He works at 1369. Got to meet his mom, so it's good to be part of the community.
Nice.
I was impressed by a country singer out of New Jersey. Sounded like
You know, tell you the truth, you look at him, I was surprised it was country as well, you know what I mean? Because, it seems more like an alternative rock style,
Yeah, he said he's gonna give me an album so we can spin some songs.
But that was some good stuff, Chris. Thanks for letting us preview.
So this is our guest today. Add a little comedy to the life. So what do you do? Who are you and what do you do?
I feel like I'm sitting back of the squad car here for some reason. Oh, that taxi? Sorry, I already went off topic. Isn't that like in a foreign country and you go in the cab and there's two guys in the family driving? You even notice that? You ever see that?
No.
You gonna introduce
I
yourself?
feel like I'm Stash. I'm a local comic and I host a show up at the All Asia Cafe almost every month. I just had my 10-year anniversary show.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
How many people were in attendance?
It was a good, moderate crowd, but
Yeah.
respectful.
Respectful. So how long you been doing comedy?
About 10 years.
Yeah. So was there like a turning point where you said, "Oh my God, I have to admit it, I'm a comedian"? Like when did you feel like?
I thought I always tried. I actually, to tell you the truth, I do a little bit better in those like improv things, improv situations, and stand-up is actually hard for me. But, which is my upfront confession. But
Yeah.
That's
I don't want to join.
That's pretty cool, because we're kind of like improv here as well.
Improv it. You do
You
it
never
improv
know.
style.
We have no set show. I mean, we have no,
Kind of
set
like
topic.
it's kind of like living on the street. You never know what the day's gonna bring.
We're just very eclectic when it comes to doing our program,
I like that. I think some of the best stuff comes up when you're free.
So Stash, when in your opinion did you do your best performance? Like, is there any performance that stands out for you? Like this is I'm on the mark.
I've had some good nights. I'm good at like at the end of the night when I'm feeling more relaxed. I'm pretty good at riffing, so I'll just kind of go off. Like at the 10-year anniversary when I came up with, I just started going riffing, and I was talking about what if Boss Hogg from the Dukes was actually tied into the Big Dig.
Yeah.
And actually, and he was sitting around at the boar's nest or whatever, and he's like, "Why don't we dig a tunnel under the whole dang city?" I'm doing a lousy Boss Hogg now. What about? And Ross goes there, just like, "Yeah, and we'll never finish the job, and we'll use cheap concrete." I'm not saying that's what they did, but it did seem like it went on a long time, guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was funny at the moment. Boss Hogg didn't even come out of me right now. What
It
happened?
didn't work. I think you're nervous.
I know you can.
Well, it's funny you mention that because they actually did use cheap concrete. Yeah, but that's another story. But for the people don't know, where is this club located?
It's Mass Ave, 340 Mass Ave.
So it's every Monday?
No, I'm like once a month, but you have to look me up.
Yeah.
It's not exactly by appointment, but I'm mostly every month.
There's a question I've been dying to ask you.
Yeah.
Do you ever think it'll be like socially acceptable to have comedy about 9/11? Like, do you think that will ever come to a point where you can do a good comedy skit on 9/11? That'll ever work? I looked up online. There's no jokes. There's no real jokes.
No,
about it.
you can talk about any dangerous or controversial topic you want if you do what they call a buffer. In other words, if after the joke you kind of like diffuse it with something, but if you come out straight and do it straight up, you could expect to really get in trouble. Comics, if you go to a lot of open mics and comedy shows, you'll be a witness. Some comics can get in trouble up there. They can get charged.
Yeah.
People stand up.
I can imagine. It's funny now that you mention it because nowadays you don't see as much raw comedy as you did in, like, say, the 1980s with Richard Pryor and I mean every ethnic joke, ethnicity. It's like there was no boundaries back then. Like, for instance, Andrew Dice Clay,
Right.
and the way they razz people, Sam Kinison, like I said, Richard Pryor. To me, I haven't seen that around in years. It's like now comics have to become, politically correct, when they do their stand-ups now. That's what it seems like to me, and I don't know. That's my opinion. What do you think?
It's definitely that. Yeah, there's no that. I mean, you can still see anything you want. I mean, you can get a ticket and go somewhere and see Dice Clay and stuff. But in general, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. They almost the comics have like a message. Don't. I'm against this.
Comedy turned political?
I'm against. They'll say I'm against racism and stuff, which is good. But there's another comic I heard said, what are you, for racism? which comic is for it? I don't know, it's like, yeah, you're right. I mean, there's I don't want to say morality play, but there's like this theme where they jump on and
Oh, I got a question about morality. Do you think it's moral, like, say you're at a club and a woman's heavily intoxicated and you're stone cold sober? She's hitting on you. Is it all right to bring her home if the playing field's not level?
No, that would be a foul.
That would be a foul.
That would be not fair.
I was just checking.
In barroom, in the game of barroom. Imagine if there were little referees. She's too drunk. Come back Saturday.
Yeah. So
Has being a comedian helped your sex life at all? Your love life? Was that a determining factor? Oh, I'm gonna be a comedian. Hopefully, meet some girls. Or is that?
Can they call that number? Here I am.
sure.
Yeah,
I want to show them the number, Brian.
Let's
I'm available.
let's see. Where's the number? There we go. 617-876. Whoop. 0055.
Actually, you know what? That's a funny question. I think with the stand up, if they're not a big act, and they're not making some dough, it would hurt. I think if you front a band, that kind of thing's easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think music's a better route? That's what.
Yeah, you can. There's more of like a. Have you ever heard that thing? There's the aesthetic wall or something, or aesthetic agreement, and I must have learned that somewhere in college or something. Like there's an agreement between you and the audience, that you're gonna make pretend that this is real. You know, otherwise, you know that's how you enjoy the theater show, or stand up is a small form of theater, and bands are. And I think that wall is like heavier for a singer, like it's thicker. So when they meet the singer, the front man or the front woman, it's like, ooh, you know, there was more of an illusion. And if
Suspended disbelief or something like that.
suspension of disbelief, and the comic would have to be like a higher level person, and be more successful, then it would have that, you know, same
The
attraction.
spillover effect.
Yeah. Which I've never had in any aspect of my life. But call that number.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, what would you say about comedy? How is it rate these days? You know, than say in the past, saying like 80s, early 90s, when there were loads of comedy places around. Actually, there used to be Catch a Rising Star over here in Harvard Square years ago. You know, and I'm talking about local clubs with top billing, you know. Suppose you still got the comedy connection and all that, but usually when I look in the advertisements in the Phoenix, for instance, I don't see as many top comedians playing these areas now than I used to back in the day, you know.
Well, when the Catch Rising Star was there, it was definitely a boom in comedy in the 80s. And there's actually an awesome documentary about it called When Stand Up Stood Out that I would recommend.
Oh, no way.
When stand-up stood
When
out.
Stand Up Stood Out, that a guy from Boston did. And it talked about basically when it was a boom, there was over at the Inman 1369 behind there was the 1369 Jazz Club, but there was also the Ding Ho Comedy Club, and that was huge. Like Stephen Wright got discovered there, and
Okay.
Barry Crimmins.
Great
Oh,
comedian,
here we go.
by the way.
Here's your next date, Stash, right here. Maybe. Hello, you're on the air. Hello?
Hi.
Welcome to Home Street Home.
I just wanted to say hello to Al Pacino.
Sweetie, how are you?
Hey, Barbara. Barbara, right?
I'm fine. I'm watching your handsome face.
Good, I'm glad.
At least we got some value on it.
What do you think of Stash? He's looking for a date.
He's looking for a date?
Yeah.
Take your glasses off.
Hello.
Oh, you're a handsome kid.
Thank you. Thank you,
You shouldn't
caller.
have a hard time.
He's a stand-up comedian, too. So
I can believe that.
he's got a lot going for him.
He's a handsome boy. Why can't he get a date?
Lazy.
There you go.
Lazy caller. Is that
Well,
Jesus Barbara?
there you
Sure.
go.
That actually helped me out. See, we had that. I didn't even think about it. Why? It was me.
So what about you? Who was your favorite comedians? You have any?
Me.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
So,
Well, listen, I'm going to sit back and relax and watch this.
all right.
Thanks for
have a
calling
good
in.
night.
Have a great
Have a
night.
good-
So,
That was a cool call.
that was a good call. You got some encouragement there. So, here's a question: Do you think Aquaman is a real superhero?
Oh, that's a good one. I definitely have thought about this one a lot because he's underwater, and when the Super Friends have to hit the streets, like to reclaim Washington D.C., I've always thought, what the heck is Aquaman doing up there? And do you ever know he had an enemy guy, the Black Manta?
No, I wasn't aware of it.
He's like a big scuba thing, and I could just figure it out. If he got mad at Aquaman, he's like, I'm trying to talk to him on the street. Like, how do they utilize their powers? It seems awkward to me. And I think about these things.
Yeah, it's a good thing to think about.
I mean, now you think of it, what powers did Aquaman have?
It's like he could swim like heck, you know?
That was about it, right?
And he kind of had your kind of haircut. He was a
Yeah.
blonde hair guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, Are you Aquaman's relative or something? Are you like his cousin or something? Like this?
Yeah, it could be. I don't know.
So I didn't want to say anything bad about him. I'm just saying
Yeah.
his powers were at a disadvantage in the land situation.
Yeah,
That's it.
it's very
Actually,
specialized.
didn't that guy quit Dallas to become Aquaman or something like that? Patrick Duffy.
Patrick Duffy.
Yeah.
How about, do you think a graphic novel about secret underground network of superheroes who masqueraded as homeless? Do you think that would be a good sell? Do you think could be a good?
I definitely think, because with the economic situation in the country too, you can always count on more and more fans coming every day.
Yeah.
But
The
see,
fan base would
you
increase.
raise a good point too, because in this day and age with the economy and everything, I'm sure there's a lot more people out there that can use a nice laugh.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, in the recession, in 1929, and with the stock market crash and all that, even though nobody had money, the two top venues of all those years back then were movie theaters and barrooms.
Yeah. Oh
You know,
yeah.
because people still like to go out together and, hang out, have a good time, have a few laughs, have a few drinks, regardless of how bad the economy was. And that's what kept them together, and that's why I think comedy is so important, too, in people's lives, It's it's a nice escape from
Oh yeah.
all the shit that's going on today. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I just wish I'd see. I just wish it was like back in the '80s where, I remember seeing, all these stars coming out. Stephen Wright, before they were even famous. Lenny Clark. People like that. And it's like, just like we were talking about a week ago with our last show, same thing with the music scene. The local music scene seemed to have died off here in recent years as well. So
Very true.
it'd be really nice if, there was a nice comeback with that, and personally I don't think we'll see it. I mean, I think it all has to do with political correctness. People are afraid to, I think, joke around now about, different ethnic groups, and, it's just, it's kind of sad because, for instance, Richard Pryor, that's how he made it big, it's just like making fun of everybody, not just, he was pretty eclectic and,
I definitely and remember what you're saying. I have not had quite the real explosive laughs. Like those guys
Right,
back then.
right.
You'd go to the Knicks and you'd see like Chance Langton, or Lenny Clark, or Steve Sweeney, and
Steve,
you'd
yeah.
like. I just introduced him at a show a couple of weeks ago. Big hero of mine, Steve Sweeney.
nice.
My friend Rich Gustus was there. He was big at catch and stuff, and he says my friend is Rich Gustus. He's a comedy teacher. If anybody wants to get into it and you're watching tonight, look him up. He's on the Hong Kong Comedy Studios web board, and he teaches classes. A lot of people get good.
Oh, nice.
I didn't know you
That's
could
pretty
take.
cool.
I didn't know you could take classes.
He does. Rich Gustus. He does a lot of writing and preparing. He basically teaches how to do it and does everything you should do, and all the mistakes I've made. I should have done what he does, and I went and got my own show, and I don't tape myself enough, and I don't repeat material. All the things I've done. So maybe someday he's going to have a book, and there's going to be a chapter. How I've gone about it is the way to avoid, and that is how I will help.
Nice.
But anyway, where was I going? But yeah, and then I don't know if it's because I was younger then, but I think you're totally right. I mean, I don't catch myself losing it like when I did, because I like Red Fox, and I like Eddie's old stuff. I like Dice. I admit I like
these
some of
guys,
Dice Clay
Red
stuff.
Fox.
Funny.
Good
Red
point.
Fox.
This guy was filthy rotten in his stand-up comedy routine. Believe
you'd
it or
lose
not,
it.
you know what I
You'd
mean?
lose it. You'd
Right.
be laughing. I mean, I had a Red Fox tape on, and I was going to the Dunkin' Donuts. I almost crashed into the thing. I mean, I love that stuff. And the guy would be playing piano, and it's just, yeah. So it's become, and then one thing too that film I was talking about, Stand Up, Stood Out, brought the fact that the power of the media eats up a lot of guys' material too, and it got into being a big thing. And when they were working at the Ding Ho over here, it was like a crew of guys. Mostly guys at that time, I think. Yeah, and they'd write together, and they lived in a house around here. I don't know if they lived in Southie or something or Charlestown, and it was like a powerful thing. And then things change, and and the '80s was like fueled by like the Cold War thing, but it was like cocaine and stuff. The things, those type of things.
How great is that, though? You know what I mean? Commune for comedians.
Yeah.
There's one comedian that had a dry humor back then that I haven't seen out in a long time was Kevin Meaney. Well, I liked his style.
Oh yeah.
And Rodney Dangerfield. Who doesn't love Rodney Dangerfield? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It's like he was a classic. But like we were just referring to earlier about all the. Most of these guys came from Boston.
Right.
They
Yeah.
got their start in Boston. You know what I mean?
That was a big boom.
But it's like now you got comedians that, like Brian was saying earlier, that are so goddamn political. I don't know how all these progressives literally got into stand up. Like what's that lady Kathy?
Kim? No.
Kathy, what the hell is her name? Griffin. Yeah, thank you. I'm behind the thing over there.
Studio audience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Studio.
Right on.
Where's the laugh track,
like-
Emma?
Can't believe you got a seat, man. That's...
You know what I mean? That they're like doing their stand up, but yet they're being political. They're trying to get their point across. The NPR lovers and bashing some Republican. And
In other words,
You know-
what you're saying is what I'm thinking. What I've been. If you had to be, it's snobby. Comedy's snobby now. Am I? Do you catch the Saturday Night Live once in a while? I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a fair reaction to it, but I think they definitely have some funny bits, and there's some people can write on it. But I think as it was, in the old days with those guys who were in the Second City.
oh my God, yeah.
I mean, you just like be cracking up, and then now I feel that it's a show, and those people are cool, and they live in New York, and it's their thing, and I'm watching. Whereas like when Bill Murray and John Belushi on, it was like that, like it was just that they were crazy, and you just go nuts, even if their bits weren't that good. If you just saw them, you just start cracking up. Whereas now, I feel like they're all in New York, and it's their party. And
you're
I'm
left
just
out.
lucky to tune in. Yeah, if I even am. Right.
Yeah. And then you get to watch the commercials and be brainwashed. That's about it.
And also, and this is another thing I've noticed, and this is a weird thing. I find the comics and the comic actors now, it's more like they're good-looking people now. They're all good-looking, but where's the funny part?
Right. I mean,
Like Rodney, I mean, you're cracking. Did you care that the guy was a handsome fella? I know I didn't. I wanted to laugh. That's I
Rodney,
totally feel that way.
even the old timers, the one-liners like Henny Youngman and, literally George Carlin started off in the 60s doing stand-up with a suit and tie. And once he changed to tie-dye or whatever and the rough look, his stardom just shot right off. You know, because that's what people love to see.
Yeah.
And
But this is carrying over, like you were saying, into the into music too.
yeah,
right?
but I mean, for instance, last year I went to see the U2 concert down in Foxborough, and every song, almost every song, Bono opened with, he had to throw something in political. You know what I mean? Like, certain things going on in South Africa or whatever. It's like I'm at a concert to enjoy myself. You know what I mean?
They don't need to be preached to.
Yeah, I don't need it to be all the politics and everything put aside. You know, it's like I don't know. It's in my opinion, real comedy is dead. You know, and I'm not Republican in any sense, but I believe all these progressives and the people from the right killed it.
Yeah.
You know,
Everybody's
they killed
got
it. They're just all bent out. Hell bent on revenge and what politician they can slander in their stand up and this and that.
Oh, this is interesting. You said that though. There had been, like, before they went into the war, kind of a group of I don't know what to call, like, maybe for lack of a word, like neoconservative comic, like they were tough like they had the tough show, and Dennis Miller has kind of changed. He changed from the left spectrum. Now he's like, it's the idea. For lack of a word, he's like a tough guy. So it's on the other end. But again, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's again because I got older, but I'm feeling that from all the artists, comics, and music alike, I'm lumping them all together. Maybe it's because it's been so worked over, or so even much more business-like that you feel so separated. Yeah, you feel like.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, it'll all change, but I doubt it in our lifetime. I wish it would, though. We got like
30
seconds left, and I'd like to thank Stash for coming on.
It's great to have you.
Hopefully, we might have him on our hour show soon. He can open up for the bands, doing some little stand-up.
Love it.
And Brian, want to close out with Chris?
Real peaceful.
My darling pal, it's feeling bad for some time now.
That was good. You asked me like, I hope I didn't get
Get her out.
I totally feel like you do. And again, I don't.
That's improv. What I didn't
Out with the gasoline head and that wistful light
I loved it.
to the wide
Are we off the
open sky.
All right.
Oh, that was great. I liked the show
Let's
a lot.
stop,
good,
Brian.
Huh?
Did it look weird with the shades on? I wanted to look
I
weird.
think you look nice and fresh having you on.
Cool,
You know
cool.
what I mean?
I'd love to open up for the bands.
But Brian kept moving his chair. I said, Jesus, it's like a bolt of lightning every time he did it.
I can't see as usual.
No,